What is your level of English knowledge? And do you really need to know it? Hi, I'm Julia and this is Random English. Today we're going to talk about English knowledge levels. And the first question is, what are these levels? Starting from beginner, the lowest level, to elementary, to pre-intermediate, intermediate, upper intermediate and advanced. These are the levels that determine how well you know English. There is also one more level called proficiency, and this is the level of an educated native speaker, so quite high. The next question, why do I really need to know my level of English? Well, there can be different reasons for that. If you're going to work or study abroad, it is really necessary because you may need some paper, some certificate confirming your level to enter a university or to start working in a company abroad. Then, if you are studying the language for yourself, for example, for traveling, knowing your level may be also quite useful because then you can know what progress you are making. Another reason, if you are in the process of learning English, it can help you to choose materials. For example, if you know that your level is elementary, you will definitely not choose materials for upper intermediate or advanced levels. The following question, how can I know my level? Well, now it is quite easy. You can just go online, for example to Google, type English level test and you will see lots of links to online tests of your English level. Of course, these tests are not 100% exact, but they can give you an approximate idea about your level. And if you are studying with a teacher or in a language school, you can actually ask your teacher and they will help you with it. They will be able to test your level, give you some exercises which are not just an online test, but maybe also some listening or speaking. As you saw at the beginning of the video, there are several levels, and one of the questions that I often get from my students and from other people is, how long does it take to get from one level to the next one? Well, it is kind of difficult to get an exact answer because it depends on many factors. In general, it takes about 200–300 hours for the lower levels and about 500–600 hours for the higher levels. So to go from beginner to elementary may take about 200 hours, but going from upper intermediate to advanced will probably take longer, about 600 hours. But then it also depends on lots of other factors. It depends on a little bit on your age, a little bit on what other languages you know, because if you already know other foreign languages, it can make learning English a bit easier. It also depends on how intensive your learning is, because if you don't study often enough, your progress will be very, very slow. And the last question I would like to cover today is, how do I know that I have reached the next level? Well, again, it depends on the situation. So if you are working with a teacher, your teacher will probably tell you and give you some kind of test. If you're working with a textbook, most textbooks are devoted to one particular level. So, if you have just finished an elementary textbook, you are probably ready to move to pre-intermediate. And if you're studying by yourself and maybe not with a textbook, but with some, I don't know, with some apps, for example, like I studied Spanish, you can just test yourself regularly. Again, it depends on how intensive your learning is. You can take a level test every 2 or 3 months, or maybe every half a year, and see how you're doing. If you're doing better, you can probably start choosing more difficult materials for yourself. Well, that is it, and I hope that I answered all the main questions about English knowledge levels. If you have any other questions, please ask them in the comment section to this video. Thank you everyone for watching, liking, commenting and subscribing, and I will see you around in the next video. Bye bye.